Dynamic Duo photo and video service here today to talk about the THANOS-PROII 2 stabilizing vest for gimbals and video cameras, made by a company called DIGITALFOTO. DIGITALFOTO asked me and some others to make some videos regarding balancing and adjusting the articulating arm so that you can use the unit properly. And if you're anything like me, you found that you may have been trying to balance both horizontal and vertical. I could swear somewhere I saw that someone did both of those. They could let go hands-free when it was vertical. They could also let go hands-free when it's horizontal after just doing the one adjustment. And therein lies the problem. You can't do that. There's a simpler, easy way to get around that, though. A little trick to it. So you've seen all these parts and pieces before. I got my camera and gimbal. I got my sled that came in the box. I've got some of the extra counterweights. Got my spring-loaded arm. Got the typical tripod to go along with my gimbal. But I do have two secret weapons that are going to come into play here. The first secret weapon, not so secret. If you want to come up a little bit closer, my lovely wife Jen is monitoring is manning the camera for me. This is a small rig counterweight set. Small rig's a big name in this industry, and this is a weight set with two different size weights and a jaw that can clamp down onto whatever you want to clamp it to. So that's one. The second one, pull back a little bit, is a very simple analog low-grade piece of chalk. That's your other kind of secret weapon that I'm going to go over. So there we go. All right. Another indispensable tool is a tripod with some way to hang the articulating arm from. In this case, we have a lighting tripod. We took off the light head, and that lets me throw the arm on there, like so. This is indispensable for getting your unit balanced. A couple tips on that. If you have everything hanging over the space that's created between the two legs, the whole thing's going to want to fall over, because there's just nothing for it to lean against and hold itself up. So if you rotate everything so that it hangs over one of the legs, then it wants to fall toward that leg, but that leg is holding it up. So that's a kind of a key thing to remember when you're working with this setup. Now I added something very nice to my gear. If you've got your box, unpacked, you've seen all your parts and pieces and tried to work with it. You've obviously seen the extension arm and the head and whatnot. But what you haven't seen, maybe, is this here. This is an additional piece that I added called the C-Stars Q1 Quick Release, and that allows me to mate the gimbal and the articulating arm quickly and easily versus having to unscrew everything. Indispensable. Now I have my gimbal laying down currently instead of up on the tripod. That's pretty standard with these gimbals, only because to put this on, I'd have to take off the C-Stars piece that mates up here, and so that can't be done. So I need to order, very simply, I just need to order another one for here. Then I can cha-chink, quickly connect this to the gimbal, or separate them, quickly put the gimbal up there, so on and so forth. So, all right, so kind of getting into the hands-on kind of portion of this. I have my sled preloaded with a couple weights. Now I have the benefit of having worked with mine and been on set before with it, so I had a guess as to maybe a weight configuration that worked for me. So I did the full thick weight and the half-size weight on mine. And that brings me to another piece. I don't know how many of you were like me, and when you were unpacking your box, you found this black rail with the two red tension knobs. Oh, mine's loose. How about that? Yeah, so black rail, bolt, wing nut, two tension knobs.
Bring it up close so they can see.
Okay. So there's that. And I had no idea what in the world that was. I actually had to ask DIGITALFOTO, what is that piece for? Turns out that piece is to mount weights to and then overcome the roll axis problem that these units have. You slide the weight way out to one side. Let's say it's rolling this way. Put the weights out to this side, and it weighs it down and brings it kind of back level. That's what that piece is for. So we'll bring that piece into use. Let's go ahead and mount our sled. Now it's real important to have the sled facing, I say facing, the skinny end, not the broad end, but the skinny end facing the same way the camera lens is going to be facing. So there's a trick to that, which I'll show you. Oops. Sled is on, weight is over the leg, so it doesn't want to, it can't fall that way. All right. Next, I'm going to mount up the gimbal. Like so. Now, as I'm looking at the back of my gimbal, knowing which way I want my lens to be facing, I look down. I don't know if you can tilt the camera down and see that the sled is skewed. It's not facing the way the camera is going to face, so I need to fix that. The very easiest way to do that is to loosen the fitting that the sled and the extension arm fit together with, and twist everything like so, and then refasten it. Now I've got the sled facing the same way the lens is going to face. At this point I'm going to turn my camera on. And what I didn't mention earlier is that this is a pre-balanced gimbal. I took the time, this is not a video about balancing gimbals, so I got everything balanced prior to starting the video. And now I just kicked it on and it's good to go. I'm going to make sure that I'm in my horizontal mode with the camera so that as this comes down you can see the camera changes position. You want to make these Thanos articulating arm adjustments while the camera is rolling. Okay, now bring the camera up here a little bit, Jen. Now I'm having to prevent this from falling, but what I want to look at is right here. I don't know if you can tell, everyone, as you watch the video, but it's wanting to roll to my left. So we got to do something about that. And okay, good, thank you. All right, now what I'm going to do first is I'm going to completely lengthen the extension arm, which gives it a bunch of weight at the bottom and helps that unit. And there's not enough weight down there yet. The reason being I don't have all my weights on this part. There we go, I'll tighten that up for now. So we're almost there vertically, but it still wants to lean because the camera on top is still heavier than what I have going on down here. Don't despair. We got all kinds of good weights and counterweights to help us out with that. So I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I recommend, which is that you adjust the horizontal plane. So for that, I'm going to bring my unit up and I'm going to start adding weights and moving things around until everything is balanced. So this part of the video is going to go real fast. To get horizontal to balance, it's simply a matter of bringing the sled in or out to make one end heavier than the other. The longer something is, the heavier it is. The shorter it is, the heavier the other end is going to be. So that's a pretty good balance there. I still got my roll problem. Okay, so we're in the middle of adjusting the horizontal axis, which is what I recommend balancing first. And so I've added more weight. Where I added that was on that rail I spoke about, where I could make the weight go off to the side to overcome the roll issue I have with this thing. And so I've done that. Now I'm going to do that thing where shortening the extension arm makes the other end heavier, and so it wants to bring it kind of back down into balance. There we go. That's a pretty good balance on the horizontal, and I'm looking at my unit and it's not wanting to roll too much. It's wanting to roll just ever so slightly to the left. So I found another trick you could do to overcome that roll. Not only move these weights out or utilize extra weight, the weight you have on just isn't doing it. You can clamp this on, which will cause it to roll even more. I don't need that much weight, as I can see how little it's moving. But another trick is to just rotate the sled toward the way you want to overcome. I undid the wrong fitting. There we go. Oh, the whole thing just kind of So instead of having the sled point exactly where the lens is, I moved the sled to the right a little bit, and should do that a little bit more. Like that. Perfect. Now Jen, if you'll come over here. You can see how much nicer that unit is laying right there. There we go. Okay, thank you. Okay, that's the horizontal axis. Because I made a change, everything wants to change on me, so I'm going to pull this out a little bit. Like there. Now, again, like I said in the beginning, what used to throw me is that I tried to get both vertical and horizontal balanced off one balance attempt, and you can't do that. You've got to do both. So the other secret weapon I mentioned is chalk. If you will simply mark, once you get her balanced horizontal, mark your position in the spot where you're going to see it while you're wearing the vest. There we go, like so. I just marked the extension arm that's up in there. I marked the visible portion of that showing where to come back to when I want to balance. Like so. Now I'm going to swing down and I'm going to extend my arm, making the bottom go heavy. We take our secret weapon, our chalk, and we put a mark there, like so. Balanced vertically. Balanced horizontally. A little bit off maybe, but not bad. There we go. So we balance vertically, we balance horizontally. Okay, so I have donned the latest in high fashion apparel, direct from the streets of Paris, which is that vest they sent us, and it's very comfortable for me. I really like it. And so let's show you how the vest and the articulating arm work together. If you are right-handed, I recommend taking that bracket that comes on the vest. Mine was packed so that it was the other, it was oriented the other direction. I undid all 4 screws, turned it around, put the 4 screws back in, because having the bracket on this side will make it so that I operate the extension pole with my right hand. Having the apparatus on this side will make it so I operate with my left hand. So your choice. If you're right-handed, put it on the left. If you're left-handed, put it on the right. And this bugger just doesn't want to stay still, does it? I'm going to go ahead and rotate this and drop the extension so it goes heavy at the bottom, like so. And get that tightened up again. There we go. All right. Next thing to do is put on the extension arm, or the spring tension arm, and the pins there in that piece just match up with your bracket on the vest, like so. The trick with this is to get it so that once everything is on the vest, these sections are level. And you do that with these tension knobs. There's a red-handled hex wrench that will go right into the tension knobs. If you'd like to use that, but it's easy enough, just grab them and turn them. That's really all you got to do. So the spring tension arm is on. Okay. I'm going to put the sled on the table, make sure I don't hit the ceiling. Now what I like about this is the sled is stable enough to support the unit. The sled has kind of got a wide base and it's got 4 little feet down there. And this is, having a table nearby is indispensable for operating this unit alone. I'll show you why that is. If I take my spring-loaded arm with the gimbal unit on the table, I can easily match them up, and then I can pick up and go. And now I have my gimbal loaded and it's set for right-handed operation. I need to strengthen my spring-loaded segments just a little bit. So the more level, there we go. So that's vertical. So now I can, let's see, I'm going to set my camera to vertical filming. And now, you know, your camera will have all different functions and whatnot, but if I wanted to do this kind of filming, easy enough with the vertical. Then, when it's time to go to horizontal, I don't know if you can see that in the camera, but there's a white chalk mark showing where to go to for vertical. Yep, I'll move here just a second. So you can see that chalk mark. Now if I loosen it up all the way, come on, there we go. I don't know why that didn't want to move. If I run that into the other chalk mark, and it's probably hard to see, let me get this tightened and then I'll get out of the way. I don't know if you can see that there.
Barely.
Okay. Trust me, there's a chalk mark there. Now, it's not going to be balanced upright like this. I can't just let it go. But, oh, let me change my camera function to, and this is DJI Ronin S. I don't know if I said that at the beginning of the video, but DJI Ronin S. And so now I want to go to my vertical shooting. Look at that. I've used this in production on a job shoot, and it really is a pretty wonderful tool. Underslung mode, if your camera offers that. Let me back up so the live camera catches that. Underslung mode. Come back up to, and really you're going to be holding onto this arm more than the spring-loaded sections when you're operating this thing. Like so. And there you have it. The digital photo THANOS-PROII 2 vest with articulating arm. It's a great tool and I think you'll really enjoy it if you learn how to use it. Thanks everybody. Take care.